A very good morning to you here at corporate in Anaheim, California. We are so pumped about a new product that we're actually launching tomorrow. And that is going to be the conversion product from Caption for Caption Nail Polish. What is truly remarkable about this product is we've been able to harness some soft gel brush-on technology and incorporate it into the Caption application so that you will be able to get super extended wear like a gel polish. One of the things that we want to be able to stress today is some really important tips and tricks so that all of you who make the purchase are going to have a tremendous amount of success. So one of the things I want to really be able to focus on is one coat application with the really opaque colors. We want to be able to go into two color application for your pastels and sheers. And then I want to touch on my favorite, which is stamping. And I'm going to show you guys all three. And throughout the process, we're going to be basically talking about the use of an LED, the use of a UV light. We're going to be able to cover all aspects of the application from preparation to finishing so that you get the ultimate basically application and look. Let's begin. All right, so what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to begin by pushing our client's cuticles back. This is going to give us plenty of space so that we can prepare the hand for proper application. I like to use the magic wand. This is going to give me the opportunity to get in, and obviously if I have any loose basically cuticle around, I'll be able to scrape that and push back effectively. Once we're done pushing the cuticles back, you have to remember that we're preparing the surface as though we were going to apply a gel polish. So in order for you to get great adhesion with the base, we have to be able to prepare with a 180, right? 180 sponge buffer. And what I want to be able to do is just be gentle. I don't need to be aggressive. I need to make sure that I'm thoroughly removing shine from the surface of the natural nails, right, all the way through, not leaving any room for shine. If I have to remove any hangnail, I want to do that prior to removing shine from the surface of the nail. I want to make sure that we get in and we thoroughly cover everything, not just around the perimeter of the nail, but all the way through the body of the nail with the body of the buffer. If I have any inconsistencies at the free edge, I do recommend using something as gentle as a 240 file. And this is going to ensure that you don't basically cause any splitting at the tip, right? So just to show you guys, 240 for the free edge, but actually 180 for the surface. This is going to create basically enough of basically a prep surface for you to get great adhesion. I am now going to use Swipe, and for those of you guys who don't know what that is, it is inside the blue bottle, and what we want to be able to do is cleanse the surface of the nail. And I like to use our new lint-free wipes to be able to do that. We're going to scrub the surface of the nail to remove any oils and contaminants. Right, and then this is going to basically give us a dust-free application to work with. Once the oils and contaminants have been removed from the surface, what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to use protein bond at the tip of the nail. Some people ask me, Greg, can you apply protein bond to the entire surface of the nail? And the answer is yes, you can. I recommend that with certain individuals, basically who have chipping or basically lifting issues, but honestly, the product bonds so well to the natural nail. The only thing you have to do is prepare it like we're doing our gel polish application with Manicue. We recommend actually applying protein bond to the tip, and this is going to prevent it from basically chipping at all. Once you are done applying the protein bond to the surface, basically at the tip of the natural nail, then what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the base application. So one of the things that we've done is we've packaged the product in this, and again, this really wonderful bottle, which is the same as the Caption bottle, but the difference is we went to a really nice gel brush. So again, being basically a wide flat brush, you don't want to pile it on like this. What I like to do is remove most of it from one side and then scrape it towards the tip. And what this will allow me to do is basically fan the brush and get great application from cuticle to free edge. One of the things that I like to do is I really love to start from the center of the nail right here. And then by brushing it on, this is going to allow me to work the product not just perfectly to the cuticle area and through the tip, but the brush actually has enough product for you to do multiple fingers at a time. You don't need to go back into the jar every single time. You can do a couple fingers in order for you to get basically perfect application around the top. Now, this is the thing. Once you are done applying the product to all the fingers, before I actually get it inside the light, I want you to notice one thing. You have to make sure that after your base is applied, you want to be able to look at the surface of the nail to make sure that you're not getting basically any kind of sliding or moving of the product, because we all know that gels have a tendency to pit or slide when the surface is really, really smooth. And again, depending on temperature, if it's cold, it also has a tendency to shrink. Once I am done applying the product to the nail, what I like to do is take the excess off the brush. And if I notice that I'm having any type of moving with the base, what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll just do a little bit of detailing around my edges to ensure, right, just to ensure that I cover those before I get inside the light. Again, it's not going to take you but a few seconds to come through and make sure that everything is going to be perfect. So the first light we're going to use is a UV light. It is extremely important for you to understand your bulbs have to be in good working order. If you're using a 36 watt light, we recommend to do a full 2-minute cure with the base inside the light, right, before you move on to the next step. If you're working with an LED, you have to have a minimum of 1 minute. So 2 minutes on UV, 1 minute on LED. While that, yes? So that is a great question. Someone asked, do you have to cap the free edge? Again, it really depends, but capping the free edge is going to ensure that you're not going to have basically any kind of chipping. It is recommended that you do that for this because you're going to be sandwiching product in between layers. Okay, so while that is curing inside the light, we're going to go ahead and prepare the second hand so that you guys can see. Remember, I'm working with a really small pinky, so I have to be really careful with my application to ensure that I have basically, I don't flood the whole entire nail. You'll notice that I actually had enough product on the brush to be able to go through. Now, again, I'm gonna show you something. You'll notice if you come in real tight, you come in really, really tight on this nail, right? sometimes you will see like little dots. Those are little bubbles, and what you want to be able to do is prevent that. So again, if you have that, it's because you don't have enough product on the brush. As you can see, that is completely gone. I'm going to go ahead and work through, again, all of the nails. I'm going to make sure that they are absolutely perfect from cuticle to free edge. Right, now again, since I'm working with a really small LED here, I'm going to be doing 4 fingers before we do the 5th. I like to come through. I like to make sure that all of my edges are perfect. If I do have to cap my edges, I barely want to touch it with my brush to ensure that we seal it, right? We seal it with perfection. And again, I'm just going to keep the fingers nice and flat. I'm going to place this on. We have to ensure, again, with this light that we do a 1-minute cure. 1 minute. This particular light has a 30-second timer. So you have to be able to do 2 cycles with the mini LED in order to get perfect, basically, curing. Now, while this is actually curing, I'm going to come back to this hand. One of the things I like to do, right, before we actually wipe everything off, if I decide to come through, and I'm going to show you a really cool tip and trick. I'm going to use a gel brush to actually kind of brush through the dispersion layer. And one of the things it does is it allows me to basically move it like really well from side to side. It gets some of that sticky to the edges that weren't covered. And what you'll see, right, what you'll see is basically really, really tight, smooth. So if I'm missing an edge, I can take that dispersion layer, I can move it down the sides to make sure that everything is perfect. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just do a real quick flash inside the light while I'm working on these. I have one more thumb to do. Oops, excuse me. I almost caught myself, but we have to do a full 1-minute cure. Remember, 30 seconds on the LED, we need 2 cycles for it to work. So while this is actually curing out, we're going to go back to this hand that was curing inside the UV light, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to take swipe, and I'm going to remove the tacky layer from the surface. Going to remove the tacky layer from the surface, and what you will see, right, is everything basically kind of dulls out. Everything kind of dulls out. So the first thing we're going to talk about is 1 coat application. And the color I'm going to use is Sorry I'm Not Sorry. This again is a beautiful coral product, and again, as much as you want to be heavy, you have to be extremely careful, and you have to use basically a nice firm application to get the product from the cuticle to the tip as thin as you possibly can. Now again, you don't have to go back and forth. You don't need to go back and forth because the product covers so well. All you have to do is use a nice firm application all the way through to make sure that you're going to have a nice tight look. I love this color because, again, at the end of the day, you have to basically just brush it on. One of the things I'm actually looking for as I'm going through the application is to make sure that I'm not getting any puddling at all. I like to go through, I like to make sure that we have great application from cuticle to free edge. Start through the middle on this one because of the size of the thumb, and start working from cuticle to free edge to make sure that we have it nice and tight. Okay, now this is the thing, right? I have to actually make sure, because we're using the smaller LED, that this thumb is actually set. So I'm just going to brush this on because we're going to complete her set with many different types of applications here. We're going to be focusing on 1 coat, 2 coat, and I'm going to be showing you guys stamping. So once I actually have that set. Now here's the thing, while that's curing inside the light, one of the things I really want to show you is you have time to do this. after you apply the first coat, this is a perfect opportunity for you to come through and do your detailing. So if I take a gel brush or a small detailer and I need to come around the edges to make sure that my edges are completely perfect, right? I'm going to do that right now. When we are done basically applying our last coat of color, here's the most important thing, right? You have to let the color air dry for 4 minutes. You cannot skip, you can't go 3, you can't go inside the light, you can't use an accelerator, you can't put it in a heat lamp, you can't do any of that because that can cause rippling or shrinking of the nail polish. You have to let the polish do its thing. So again, I've allowed this to sit on the nails for probably 30 seconds. So at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, I am now going to be ready to apply the manicure, I'm going to be ready to apply the conversion top coat over the top. I'm so excited about this. I keep thinking I'm doing our gel polish, but it's truly conversion.
Speaking of that, what is the difference between manicure and...
So that's great. So the difference between manicure and this is manicure is designed to be worked with our manicure gel polish. Conversion, we had to actually make it a little softer so that the nail polish would basically bond well to it. It feels a little bit more rubbery than manicure, which is basically going to give you a little bit more flexibility and allow the product to bond extremely well.
Will it replace manicure?
So another question is this going to replace manicure? The answer is no. We understand that there's a lot of people that like super extended wear, and one of the things that we can guarantee with manicure is if you're using our gel polish system, you can get up to, honestly, 21 days of wear. With conversion, you're going to get up to 2 weeks. And again, it really depends on the person's lifestyle. One of the things we realize with conversion is that when you're using the conversion system, instead of having to buy more manicure colors, you have all the Caption colors, which is going to give you the flexibility to get that gel-like wear. Okay, so again, once we are actually done doing this, we're going to come through and we're going to remove the shine. Again, always going back and focusing on tips and tricks to show you guys how to get like really great, basically, application. I really want to focus on ensuring that the Caption base is applied nice and even from side to side. And since we're doing that, let's go ahead and cure this. I just want to brush that all the way through to make sure that the dispersion layer is going to be brushed evenly from side to side so that we don't miss anything. We're basically at 2 minutes and 43 seconds. One of the things I want you to notice is because Caption, right, because it dries so fast, right, the first thing you're going to notice is the shine, right? Not just the speed, but the ingredients that we use with Caption is going to give it that really lustrous shine. The product is truly dry. So remember, I gave it about 30 seconds before we actually get into the next part of the application. I'm going to come through, I'm going to wipe these out, right? And I'm going to save these for 2-color and stamping. But here's the thing. We are at 3:30. When we are applying the conversion top coat, okay, you have to remember, right, that we're working on a slick surface. So you also have to remember it's 4 minutes. I'm at 4 minutes right now, right? Remember, by the time I was done applying the last nail, we were about 30 seconds in. So as you can see, my timer is at 4 minutes, right? the product is now ready for the conversion top. Now remember, this is the one color application. One of the things I like to do to ensure that we have great top is to come through, right, and take a look actually how I'm allowing the brush to spread all the way through the nails, right? I'm not going to do basically one finger at a time. The top has a tendency to move. So if I flood the smaller finger, by the time I get to the last finger, it's all down in the cuticle area. I want to be able to take the product that I applied and I want to be able to brush that through, and I want to seal the edges. So whatever I brushed through the surface, you'll notice that I'm actually going to be able to seal the edges at the same time. All right. And remember, because we're using a soft gel, right, a soft gel top coat, we have to make sure after we're done applying it to the surface, the last thing I want to do is I want to go back and I want to check to make sure that I'm not having any pitting or sliding. This is really, really important. As you can see, the top coat is perfectly applied from side to side. I don't have any issues. I want to make sure I get that side perfect. Okay. Once we're done applying it, this has to go inside the light for the final cure. If I'm curing it inside the UV light, I have to have a 2-minute cure. There is a question.
What's the point of brushing the dispersion layer if you're just going to move it off?
Well, look, again, so here's the thing. Someone says, what's the point of brushing the dispersion layer if you're going to wipe it off? The dispersion layer, again, there is a little bit of a tack. So if I miss an area right here on the side of the nail, I just want to show you something. Let's say I brush this through, which I did on this nail, and let's say I miss that little edge. I miss that edge right here. What I'll be able to do with the dispersion layer, instead of applying another coat, right, of base, I can actually take that dispersion layer and I can brush it through to seal that edge. So that remaining tack is going to give me enough product to get to the sides if I miss it. Okay, so while that is curing out, we're going to go to our next step. Remember, all of the surface has been wiped and we're now ready for application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something with a really light color. I'm going to choose to use Ain't No Thing, right, which is a pastel color from the Resort collection. All right, so this is really, really important. Once we are done basically applying a nice even coat, I'm going to allow that to dry for the first, right? I'm going to let that dry for 4 minutes. I have a little bit of sheer application, right, which is absolutely fine. But you have to remember, the pigmentation for a majority of the pastel colors that we have in the line, right, you have a tendency to want to float the product on, right, because they're so rich. You can't float this on like a gel. You have to brush this on firm, and if your first coat streaks, it's not a big deal at all. We're going to allow this to dry for 4 minutes. Now, while this is actually drying, I'm actually going to go through and we're going to use some other colors, right, to paint through the surface so that you guys can actually see basically what it looks like. And again, I'm using really firm application to get that first coat on. I'm going to use Read It and Weep, right? Read and Weep, and we're going to do her ring finger. I like to get a majority of the product off, start in the center, brush all the way through, really firm, all the way through to ensure that we have a really thin application, right? The biggest problem we see when we were doing a lot of our testing in the initial stages is we want to just brush the product on, right? And again, through the center is one thing, but as the product spreads out to the sides, if you have a little bit of thickness, right, which you can usually tell, that's going to be a problem for the next step. Any questions?
Obviously, this is for Caption, but can it be used with other brands?
So the question is, obviously this is with Caption, and can it be used with other brands? And the answer is no, it cannot. And the reason why it cannot is because I don't know what those brands' ingredients are in their nail polish. This was designed for Caption Polish. This is designed to give Caption Polish that super extended gel-like wear. We've done our testing. I can't speak for the other brands. I can only speak for Caption. And if you want success with this certain product, you're going to have it with Caption nail polish.
Can you use it with other people's lights?
So the question is, can you use this product with other people's lights? And the answer is, yes, you can. We recommend, again, 2 minutes with a UV, and we recommend 1 minute with an LED. You just have to make sure that your bulbs are curing the gels well. If you are using the product and you're noticing that the gels have a really intense dispersion layer, it's probably not curing all the way through. Another thing is if you're getting basically soft spots around the edges, you're getting shrinking, you're getting puddling with the gel through the application, it probably means that your gel lights need to be replaced. Okay, so before we move on with this, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this out, right, with some of the other colors that we have. We're going to use kindness all the way through. Again, nice thin application. I want to make sure that I get my edges perfectly nice and tight. And again, you have to remember through this whole entire process, what you're going to be doing is, and I'm going to use talk is cheap here, one of the things you're going to be doing is you're going to be rotating through the hands while you work in order for you to have a successful application. We notice that with the products, again, taking your time, cleaning up the cuticles, spending as much time basically to make sure that the application is absolutely perfect. One of the things that you're going to notice, right, is the time it actually takes to do a perfect full set. As slow as you are, as much time as you want to take, it takes no longer than 30 minutes to do. Now again, the best part about this, right, is the removal. When you remove it, no joke, it takes like 6 or 7 minutes for it to basically slide off. All you would do is take basically a cotton ball of acetone, wrap it in foil, I'm not even joking, within 6 minutes, it just slides right off the nail. The best part you're gonna notice is the conversion base will leave a really nice protection on the natural nail to prevent it from actually dehydrating. Now you guys are gonna notice one thing. Caption, right now, the conversion top is completely set. I am not going to use, right? I am not going to use a harsh solvent to remove that tacky layer. One of the things you want to be able to do, again, is use swipe, right? And again, I'm being very gentle to remove, right, the dispersion layer all the way through. But as you can see on the first coat, this is completely done. This is going to wear basically bullet. She could actually reach in, and here's the best part. I could sit here and I can tap at it with the magic wand and I'm not denting it at all. So all of the, you guys are going to notice that anything that you use that has one coat application, and you're talking about 60% of the line has the ability to apply in one coat. You're going to have this incredible basically gel finish, which is absolutely unbelievable. You have another question?
What's the average wear time on it, and how does it compare to a traditional soap as far as wear?
So, you know, again, because we're using, so here, the question was, how do you compare it to a traditional gel polish application or wear. It's not gel polish. So gel polish, you're going to get, you know, up to 3 weeks of wear. With the caption conversion, you're going to get anywhere from 10 to 14 days of incredible wear. But what we find is a lot of people that are wearing gel polishes, once it gets to a certain point, they hate the way it looks. They want to be able to come back to the salon on a bi-weekly basis and have it removed, not just with ease, right? The time it takes to remove this is seamless. It comes off easier than everything in the market. So the time it actually takes truly is less than 10 minutes, and the true application, no matter what you're going to be doing, 1 coat, 2 coat, or stamping, is going to take no more than 30 minutes to do. Okay, so this is the thing. We've allowed this one right here to cure out for the 4 minutes. If I was going to do 2 colors, I want to show you what you're going to do. You're not going to apply the color on the second coat. We're going to use the conversion base, and what we're going to do is apply another coat of conversion base over the top, right? And what this is going to do is it's not only going to seal the color in, but what this is going to do is it's going to ensure, right? We're going to do a 1-minute cure inside the LED. What it's going to do is it's going to prevent the product from sliding. So you have to sandwich it. Any of the lighter colors, white, pastel pinks, sheer colors, stuff that you want it to apply well. In order for you to have success, you have to do base, color, and then after that 4 minutes, you have to do another base before the color, before you move into the top. Any questions?
What price point would you have this at?
So,
Compared to a water manicure or a gel polish?
so you know, again, the beautiful thing about this is that your client. So the question was, how would you price this out? And honestly, you can price this relatively similar to all your gel polish applications. I mean, at the end of the day, the service is 1 hour. So for 1 hour of your time, to be able to remove it effectively, to be able to not do damage to your natural nails, to use a product that is going to give you super extended wear, to use something that has basically incredible coverage and basically a seamless application, you should be able to charge the same as you're doing gel polish. Okay, so once we are done working through the last 30 seconds of application, we're going to show you guys basically 2 coat coverage, and then I'm going to show you my favorite part of this, which is screening. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, the base is done. What we have to do is we have to, at this point, wipe off the dispersion layer. As you can see, it turns, again, a really matte finish, What I'm going to do is we're going to take the same color, and I'm going to apply, again, a really thin application from cuticle to free edge. I am not concerned about trying to get it. I just want to make sure that I have a great application. You have to make sure that it's not thick. One of the things I want to do after I'm done is to make sure that my sidewalls or my edges are basically Hollywood perfect. I'm going to come around the edges to make sure that everything is nice and tight. And we actually have to allow this to dry for another 4 minutes before we actually go over the top coat. Now, here's the thing. For some of you guys, I'm sure you're thinking, wow, that's really long. But at the end of the day, my experience, even with gel polishes, depending on what color you apply, the average time it takes to do a gel polish service by going inside the light, coming out inside the light, repetitive, basically motion, it's anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes of application. The longest this is going to take you is 30 minutes for 2-color application. If you were doing designs like I'm going to show you right now, the time is less than 20 minutes. Because once you are done, again, once you're done doing the first color, you're now ready for the stamp. Any questions?
You say to cure for 1 minute in the LED, what happens if you cure it for only 30 seconds like normal?
So the question is, I say to cure it 1 minute in the LED, what happens if you were to cure it for 30 seconds? You're probably going to get puddling. You're not going to get a really good cure with the gel. You're going to get shrinking with the nail polish. You're going to get shrinking with the gel. You have to ensure, with all the testing we have done, you have to ensure that you do that 1 minute cure so that you don't have any problems at all.
Is the polish still soft in the middle?
So the question is the polish still soft in the middle? If you allow it to cure for the full 4 minutes, it turns almost into a rubberized product. It allows us to apply the conversion top coat to seal it in, and the question is no. You're not going to, unless you apply it too thick. If you apply the caption too thick and you don't allow it to dry out, you're going to have issues. If you allow, again, the product to cure for the full 4 minutes, you're not going to have any issues at all. Now, while we're letting this dry, I'm going to show you guys some really exciting things. The conversion art screen kit that we actually have is actually equipped with Escape Artist. This is probably the most impressive thing because when you are doing this type of procedure, you don't need to focus on 2 coats. The only thing you have to focus on is basically doing the first coat of color, and after you're done doing the first coat of color on the 10th finger, you're now ready to stamp the design. I'm going to use Eat My Dust. I'm going to use Eat My Dust, which is basically the gold chrome color that is in the Resort collection. And what we're going to do is we're going to ensure that we stamp. We're going to make sure that we stamp with perfection. Okay, so I'm going to use a few different designs. I'm going to use basically the thin hair design. I'm going to make sure that we apply a really nice coat over the surface. I'm going to pull with firmness. I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to press that down. The color combination that you get, right? The color combination that you get with Kill It With Kindness and Eat My Dust is spectacular. It looks like jewelry. Now here's the best part. It's dry. After you are done stamping the surface of the nail, you are now ready to seal it with the conversion top. So let's go through and do that with the rest of these. I have to make sure that before I go on to my next stamp design, I remove it with a tacky surface like a nail form or a lint roller. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the thicker designs right here. Now here's the thing. For those of you guys who are struggling with this, I want to show you something really cool. If I apply a really thin coat here and I pull through, because of the depth of this design, I actually want to wait a couple of seconds before I pick it up and I go ahead and push it onto the nail. One of the things you're going to see, look at the detail that I actually have all the way through. Striking. Right? And the reason why I was actually able to wait a couple of seconds is because how rich the design was. I'm not going to wait 30 seconds. I'm just going to wait a few seconds before I actually press onto the nail. And then what I want to show you again, I want to show you something really, really cool. In order for you to get your lines straight, I'm gonna show you guys the chevron shape, because there has been a few people that have struggled, but I'm going to show you guys. We have to clean basically our plates before we apply. There's no rule that says you have to actually take this and apply it here. On this one, I'm actually going to apply it to its side. Instead of going against the grain, I'm going to move with the grain. This is going to allow me, again, right? This is going to allow me to fill everything well. And as you can see, that way I can get my lines perfectly straight from side to side. All right? Question?
Can you stamp with caption over the manicure?
So the question is, can I stamp with caption over manicure? And the answer is yes, you can, as long as you remove the sticky layer from the surface before you stamp.
Would you use conversion?
Can you use conversion with manicure? The answer is yes, you can. Okay, so last but not least, what we're going to do is we're going to stamp on a simple pattern. And again, like if you were to use Talk is Cheap, right? Which is a fantastic color to stamp over Kill It With Kindness, I have to make sure, again, take a look at that. I'm actually able to get that. These are done. Now, here's the thing. I don't need to go in and clean everything up. This is ready now because I've allowed it to dry for the full 4 minutes. I'm actually able to come in and seal it, We've identified, the beautiful thing is we've identified the cap so you know exactly what you're working with. The base actually has a black cap and the top actually has a shiny cap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with the conversion top. I'm going to come in with the conversion top. And I'm going to apply a really nice coat. And again, I'm going to start through the middle. I'm going to brush all the way through to make sure that we have great coverage. This one, again, I'm just going to apply. And again, you'll notice I've allowed the second coat to dry fully through. And let's go ahead and seal this last one, and then we're going to stick it inside the UV light so that I can do all 5 fingers at once. Do we have any questions?
So the base doesn't soak off. Does that affect the reapplication?
No, it does not. So here's the thing. Here's the question. The base does not. The question was the base does not soak off. Does that affect the reapplication? No, it doesn't, because you're doing it so thin that when they actually come back, what it'll do is it will soften the surface so that when you actually prepare, when you actually buff it with the 180 buffer, you're going to be able to remove enough so that your reapplication is not going to make it look thick. It's going to make it look perfect.
If you don't want to soak, is it okay to use a file?
So the question is, if you don't want to soak, can you go ahead and use a file? And the answer is yes, you can use a safety bit to remove this.
Once you're done, are you able to file the edges?
So the question is, once you're done, are you able to file the edges? You are, but again, this is a different technology. And the problem, again, I would definitely, if you're going to have to file the edges, you're going to have to come back and reseal them to ensure that the product is not going to chip or wear away. We are layering product in order to get a perfect gel-like wear, and because of Caption and the base and top and what we're using, if you have to do any touch-ups at the end, you have to make sure that you go back and reseal those edges. So the question is this less damaging than gel polish? I need to make this clear. Gel polish doesn't damage natural nails. Nail technicians damage natural nails. Or the clients from picking or wear. In order for you to basically prevent damage, your maintenance skills have to be rock solid. It doesn't matter what medium you're using to remove, whether you're using acetone, whether you're using an electric file, hand file, you have to know how to remove it effectively without damaging the natural nail. There is always a way to do that. So I want to show you something before we move to questions. Once the top is actually applied to the nail, do you see how I have all that ink right around the edges? What I'm going to do is I'm going to use swipe, right? I'm going to use swipe. Take a look actually how I'm actually able to come through, and because I've sealed it, oh my gosh, that is unbelievable. Look at what the designs end up becoming. I can actually come through, I can clean up the skin, I'm actually able, right? The designs are completely sealed, and look at that. I mean, are on like gel. This was 2-coat application, right, with the pastel color. Perfect. And again, coming through and cleaning this. Last one. I'm going to make sure that I'm using swipe to clean the skin to make sure that actually everything is perfect. And as you can see, right, 1-coat application, 2-coat application, and stamping is all possible with Caption Polish. Any questions?
Yes, so you do not let the stamping set for 4 minutes?
You do not know. So the question is this. The question was, you do not let the stamping set for 4 minutes. And the answer is no, you don't. That is the only time that you allow the full 4 minutes is if you're doing 1 or 2 color application. If you're doing stamping, after you are done doing the first coat of color, the color is ready to be stamped. As soon as you are done stamping all 10 fingers, you can seal it with the conversion top. The average time it takes to do a custom design from beginning to end is less than 20 minutes. You do the base, you allow it to cure with the proper time. You wipe it, you apply your first color. After you're done applying your first color and you're doing all your cleanup around the edges, you stamp the designs. As soon as you're done stamping the designs, you're ready to seal it with a conversion top. Bam! Done, easy, perfect.
Would you still use the base coat over an enhancement?
So here's a really good question. Would you use the conversion base coat over the enhancement? And the question is no. I'm going to explain why. Acrylic hard gel acts as the base. So if you are doing this technique over the surface of an acrylic, the only thing you have to do with one color is you have to protein bond the surface of the acrylic nail, right, or the gel nail before you actually apply the caption color. If you're doing 2 coats, remember the first coat is going to act, the acrylic or the hard gel is going to act as the base. The only time you would actually use the base is if you actually had to do 2 colors of a really, really light color. But the only thing you would actually have to do, protein bond, go to color, allow it to dry for the full 4 minutes, and then basically seal it with a conversion top. If you were going to stamp the acrylic nail, protein bond the surface of the acrylic nail, apply the color. As soon as you're done with the color, stamp it. As soon as you're done stamping, conversion top. Done.
The swipe isn't a polish remover, so how was it able to remove it?
So here's a good question. The swipe isn't a polish remover. How come it was able to remove it from the skin? You have to remember that the swipe is also blended again with a low percentage of a solvent. And this solvent, again, if it's only like 30 or 40%, there's just enough to act as a cleaner around the edges. Most of the time I'm quite leery about putting a lot of pressure and removing, right? If I'm really close to my edges and if I didn't get my conversion top all the way down to the sides, because we have a tendency for it to shrink back, you know, the best thing to use basically at that point is just really light pressure so that you don't remove the polish from the nail. But it's going to cleanse the surface of the skin really, really well. So the question is, how many days is this going to last? Again, it depends on the lifestyle, but you can get up to 2 weeks wear. One of my staff members, I can show you her nails right now. I did this set on Thursday of last week, and we wanted to demonstrate basically two color application, and I used basically 2 colors. And as you guys can see, I was actually able to do conversion caption on her so that she has basically super extended wear. Question?
Do you base coat in between each layer of color 4 minutes each time?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Do you base coat in between each layer of color, and is it 4 minutes each time?
So the question is, do you have to base coat in between each color, and is it 4 minutes curing each time? If you're doing a light color and you want basically a streak-free look, you have to do the base in between the color. That is only if you want full opaqueness with something that is going to streak on your first application. With a color that applies perfect in one coat, you don't need to do it twice. We're looking at basically pastels and sheer colors. White is a perfect example because you're not able to do white in one coat. So yes, you would have to apply the base in between the color, and you have to allow the color to air dry for 4 minutes each time.
Did you bake the conversion top? Did you cure the conversion top?
I did. Did I cure the conversion top? I did. The question is, did I cure the conversion top? And the answer is yes, I cured the conversion top.
French manicure, would you consider that a 2-coat?
So the question is, French manicure, would I consider that a 2-coat? I mean, honestly, it depends on how good you are at applying your white, but yes, if you're going to do the white and you want streak-free application, you're gonna have to basically put that base layer in between to prevent it from basically looking streaky.
If you're doing a pedicure, would you still do a dry prep?
If you're doing a pedicure, would you still do a dry prep? And the answer is yes, because you don't want moisture on the natural nail before you start this application.
Someone's new to stamping. How did you clean your stamper?
So someone wanted to know how I actually clean my stamper, and I'll show you guys right now. So you can see the stamper is actually coated, right? I didn't actually have a chance to clean this. You could use a lint roller, or you could use the back of a nail form, and take a look at this. Look at this. All I have to do is use the back of a nail form, and it actually cleans it up to perfection. That's how you clean it. You do not use acetone or alcohol to clean the surface of your stamping pad. You have to use something sticky. Next question.
Can you use caption color and conversion top over a hard gel?
Can you use caption color and conversion top over a hard gel? And the answer is yes, you can. If you complete your hard gel application, you can skip the conversion base. As soon as you're done, protein bond the surface before your first color of caption. The hard gel will act as your foundation. All right, those were questions that were asked. We've pretty much covered everything. We covered prep, we covered 1-coat coverage, we've covered 2-coat coverage, we've covered stamping, we've covered all the tricks, tips and tricks associated. You have to remember that for us, it's about being innovative. And innovation is about taking existing products and trying to get to the next level with them. We've been able to harness our technology that we have and use it so that you can convert everything that you've invested in into that amazing gel-like wear. There is another question.
One more, to be clear, do you do the polish first, then a manicure?
So there is a question. Do you do the polish first, then a manicure? If the feet are dry, then yes, you want to be able to do the service first before you do the manicure. That way you don't put moisture onto the natural nail, which can lead to basically chipping or breaking of the product. The last question is when this is available, and it is tomorrow. So look out for the product. We are going to be at trade shows for the rest of the year. Look out on Instagram. You guys will be able to follow me, G-Man Salo on Instagram. You guys can follow Young Nails Inc. On YouTube again, and follow Young Nails on Facebook as well as Instagram as well. We are going to be posting tips and tricks throughout the next couple months. We're going to be bombarding you guys with a ton of support so that you guys have the ultimate success with this new line. We're super excited about this and super pumped on seeing you guys take this to the next level. Really appreciate your time. Look forward to the next. Peace.